Oh, God!
Hello and welcome to this very special bonus video podcast about our new upcoming project, Deadvault. I'm joined by Adam Robinson. Hello, Adam.
Hi, Mike. How are you?
I'm good. I'm very excited about being in this spooky little space right now.
We are in a dungeon in London, more or less, aren't we? Yeah.
Yes.
It's very, very cool.
It's amazing. And you've actually performed ghost stories in this space before, right?
I have. Back in 2022, I did a 3-week run here at the Barons Court Theatre of A Christmas Carol, and it was just amazing. The atmosphere in here is perfect. It's really creepy, and yeah, it's got that subterranean ghostly vibe.
Yeah, if anything suddenly comes lurking from the background at any point, just ignore it. It's fine.
Yeah.
So we've got this project that I feel like we've been talking about wanting to do together for a long time, right?
Absolutely.
It's called Deadvault. What can we reveal about it, Adam? What is Deadvault?
Deadvault is a multi-part horror audio series, and it's going to be one of the most thrilling projects I think I've ever worked on. It's a delight to work with you, and as you say, we've been talking about it for such a long time, and finally we're in a position to get our ducks in a row.
Yeah, it feels, it felt kind of perfect, and I know that, like you said, we've been talking about wanting to do it for ages. Just for people who don't know, tell us about your background, I suppose, and why it is that we are doing this.
Yeah, so I'm a writer of theatre. I've been writing theatre for, well over a decade. Mm-hmm. I tour ghost story shows. I write original ghost story shows and classics, and I put them on stage, and I've been doing that with my theatre company, The Book of Darkness and Light, for 10 years this year. So this is our 10-year
Happy anniversary.
Thank you, I appreciate that, yeah. And I just love all things ghost story. I love all things gothic, and what I've noticed is with my theatre shows, the more I do, the more we creep into horror, beyond just ghost stories and into out-and-out horror.
Yeah.
And I love exploring all the various different genres, and your podcast has been a companion all through that time, really.
I love that. Well, I'm really excited because I love all the stuff that you do, and I've always wanted to have an opportunity to do something a little bit more on the drama side of things, right, when it comes to kind of podcasts and audio stuff. So what can we say? I mean, we don't want to spoil too much at this point, and the idea will only happen if we can get it funded. But what are we hoping to kind of do with Deadvault?
I mean, this is going to be a multi-part horror drama series, as I say, and what we're doing is we're looking at the idea of found footage. We're looking at the idea of exploring lots of different genres, subgenres within horror, and it's a series that blurs the lines between reality and fiction. Yeah. So, of course, one of the main characters in this drama is Mike Munzer. Played by himself. And it's a drama that involves a discovery of a vault of files, of audio files by you. And in these individual episodes, we're going to dip into lots of different stories that have been discovered within this Deadvault, this secure file location.
Incredible. So it's going to kind of, obviously, like, the idea was for it to kind of link to the podcast and exist in the world of, like, our real world, I suppose, and the world of the evolution of horror podcasts, but also be an anthology horror show, right?
Absolutely that. And I think, I'm massively inspired by things like Ghostwatch.
Yes.
So this idea of having, elements within this drama that exist in the real world. And actually, there have been a couple of things that have happened that we're not going to reveal at this point, but we will at some point in the future. While we've been talking about this, that are sort of going to creep into the reality of this drama, and I'm really excited by that because I think that there's a lot of jeopardy in found footage. When you're watching a piece of found footage, you think to yourself, "Oh, actually, I feel like I'm somewhat in the firing line as well." So I want to explore that too. So it's not just a case of here are some stories that we've invented. Here are some stories that we've kind of scripted and had performed, but there's an element of reality as part of this, and Absolutely. I think that's going to make it even more immersive.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that. I mean, found footage is something I know that we both love, and as you said, this is going to kind of be a sort of audio found footage. There's so much found footage out there. What do you think makes a good found footage compared to some of the less good found footage out there?
Well, yeah, this is the thing. I mean, it's a real broad church. Isn't it? My favourite found footage is the Blair Witch Project. I think it's a masterclass. It's a masterpiece. In terms of what makes good found footage, I think the story ultimately ultimately is something that's really, really important. So having a fantastic story at the heart of the piece is really, really important. So as much as the Blair Witch Project is this brilliant exercise in simplicity, actually the intricacy of the folklore at the heart of that film, I think, is the thing that makes it utterly terrifying. It's the thing that hooks me every time. It's the thing that makes me interested all the way through. And so I think actually a good script, a good story, and a good sort of sense of folklore is the thing that I'm drawn to.
It's that amazing kind of weird thing with found footage where for the most part we know it's not real. I know there have been a few exceptions. Blair Witch was one of them. I guess Ghostwatch in a way was one of those kind of infamous stories where people sort of believed what they were seeing. But even when we know it's not real, we sort of do want to suspend our disbelief more so than most other types of drama. Right?
I think so, yeah. I think that's true. And I think with this audio drama, with Deadvault, that's what we're going to try and do. We're going to try and have it so that people almost forget that what they're listening to isn't happening right at that moment with them kind of very much involved. This idea, the immersive element of audio is something that I'm absolutely fascinated by. I always think of a film that we covered on the evolution of horror, which is Pontypool.
Yes.
And one of the most incredible moments in Pontypool for me is the description of the chaos that's happening outside. And it's the thrill of storytelling. So you have this voice reporting these strange things that are almost undescribable, and yet the reporter is trying to describe them. And I find that utterly compelling and terrifying. And I'm really drawn to it because there's, part of the thing that I do on stage is storytelling. A big part of it is telling stories. And the joy of that is that the audience are in the whole kind of dialogue 50%. So they have to rush in with their imagination. They have to bring some of their selves to the storytelling. And I just think that actually, the things that we're most frightened of are our own minds a lot of the time.
I think that's really interesting. And obviously you've done so much on stage stuff. And I think you're right. There is a kind of particular kind of thrill, right, to doing something that is not going to be visual, is just going to be audio. How do you think you're going to find the process of writing that? That you're writing something that people are not going to be able to see in any way.
So writing for audio is one of my favourite things to do. When the lockdown happened, when we were all stuck at home, I converted a lot of my stage stories to audio dramas, and it was such a fun thing to do. I did a lot of self-production, so they were of different, of mixed quality, let's say, but the reception that I got was incredible. From start to finish, really. I think the joy of audio is you can take the story anywhere. You can bring an audience member or the individual listening any place at any time, and you can jump around and you can do things that you can't do necessarily with the visual medium, and certainly not on stage. You can do an awful lot with a fraction of the budget that you'd need for a movie. You really can create something that feels like you're on the high seas or at the beach or on the moon. And you can do that incredibly convincingly and immersively for a fraction of the budget, which I think is makes it very, very appealing. And as I say, the thing that I find extraordinary about audio drama is how we build these pictures from the words that we're given, from the sounds that we're given, from the inferences of the FX and so on. We start to build these images in our head that in some cases are way more scary than anything that could possibly be shown to us. And I find that from my theatre work as well. Oftentimes the bits that people remark upon are not any kind of fancy effects that we're doing on stage, but the subtle storytelling, the sense of dread from the storyteller. So I'm just so excited to explore that.
I love that. And of course, the idea of anthologies really excites me. And I think excites a lot of people, right? There's such a love and there's such a want for them, I think, these days, right? Again, what do you think is the kind of appeal behind, and it seems to work so well, particularly in horror, the idea of anthologies, the idea of like different short stories, I suppose?
I love anthologies too. It's the basis of my theatre company, the Book of Darkness and Light. We always do at least 3 and a sort of portmanteau. I've always been drawn to it. I think part of it is my attention span sometimes.
I think that is definitely the case with me. I
feel like, watching a 90-minute movie is a joy if I'm completely immersed in it, and most of the time I will be. But even with an anthology where, I'm not massively into, let's say, a vampire story, it's only going to be like 10, 15 minutes and then we're on to the next one.
Yeah.
But I also really love the variety because I'm a huge fan of horror. I'm a huge fan of all the subgenres, more or less. And so watching an anthology, you get to dip your toe into various different subgenres and ideas and stories. And I think there's something, it's like having your palate cleansed every sort of 10 or 15 minutes. Deadvault is going to be a series of episodes, so it's not going to be one long anthology. We're going to release these episodes as individual stories that have this overarching story where we have Mike Muncer playing himself, kind of engaging with these true stories within the world of Deadvault. So I think the variety is going to really appeal to people. I think the idea that they're going to be maybe sort of 30 minutes ish long is something else that's going to appeal to people because you're in and then you're out. Some are going to be slightly longer, but I love that. I love this idea of kind of the brevity, short, sharp shocks.
Perfectly put. I agree. And I love that. And I think you're right, especially, I suppose, in keeping with the podcast, The Evolution of Horror, we wanted to have a range of subgenres. Also, what the idea that appeals to me as well is that idea of a range of different, I guess, eras or, sort of periods or, and within that using different types of sound technology too. Absolutely. Right? I think there's something really fun about that. The idea when we were talking about it, thinking, oh my God, these days you get audio via WhatsApp voice notes, via iPhone recordings. It could be an old wax cylinder. It could be, a tape recording. I think there's loads of kind of fun possibilities in that regard as well.
I think that's absolutely right. And I think that, I talked to you on a Patreon episode about The Woman in Black and why I feel that is such a perfect adaptation. And the reason is because every element of the idea of it being a theatre show is considered. When you watch that show, you realise that could not, in that format, be told in any other medium except for theatre. I'm aware it's an adaptation, of course, but I mean that particular version. I think with Deadvault, we are considering this from the beginning. We're thinking about what are the possibilities of sound, as you say, what are the different mediums of sound, and also, as you've alluded to, the history of sound. So we're going to include at least one episode that's looking at a very early method of recording sound, and I just think that's so exciting to present this. It's high concept in the sense of it's not just audio horror stories; it's horror stories about audio.
Yeah, and we were both quite adamant. We want it to be scary, right?
It's going to be scary.
Yeah, it's got to be scary.
It's going to be. Yeah. I remember a few years ago, I listened to Nigel Neal's The Stone Tape.
Yes.
Radio 4 did an adaptation, and it was this binaural sound experience. And I think before having listened to that, although I'd listened to lots of horror over the years, and I really love ghost stories in audio and so on, but before that, I was skeptical of the idea of audio having the capacity to be scary. And then I listened to that and I learned so much from it, and I brought so much of it into my work. And spatial audio and the idea of positioning people in a place and kind of allowing the ambience of the sound contribute to how they're feeling. So I'm excited about that because I think that all of these things that I've learned over the years about creating scary stories for the stage are going to feed directly into this, and I think it's going to be
scary.
Really scary.
I love it. What are some of your favourite horror anthologies out there?
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm a big fan of the old Amicus movies. I mean, I'm aware that in every single one of them, unfortunately, there's always one that you think, oh my goodness, no, thank you. We have to not. But I like Dr. Terror's House of Horrors. That's one of my absolute favourites. I love that. I mean, I love Dead of Night, going all the way back to Dead of Night. I think that's
still
incredible.
one of the unbeatable ones, I think.
Absolutely. And there's a story in there, I think at least one story in there, written by E.F. Benson, who of course was a contemporary of M.R. James. I think that's fantastic. Big fan of Creepshow, the first Creepshow. I just think it's so fun and garish and kind of silly, but at times really quite frightening and really quite effective as a piece of
That
piece of horror
story at the end is
it's
horrific.
horrid. Yeah.
Absolutely horrific.
I love Trick or Treat.
Yeah.
And that's a really interesting way of doing anthology, where we move around from the stories. That's that's something that isn't done very often. And I'm a huge fan of obviously Inside Number 9, which I know is not always absolutely horror, but what I'm interested in as well is the idea that we've moved into series anthology, or we've moved back to that, should I say, because we had things like Tales of the Unexpected and various things like that. But when I was a kid, I watched things like The Outer Limits, and even to a certain extent The X-Files. I like this idea of episodic horror with an overarching story kind of holding it together. So I find it. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, same. Inside Number 9 obviously has been such a massive thing for both of us, I know, over the last 10 years or so. I really like the VHS films too. Speaking of kind of found footage anthology, I think they, again, as with all anthologies, they're a mixed bag. There are some better ones, there are some worse ones, but I love that idea of using that kind of grainy analog technology as part of the anthology. Creepshow, Dead of Night. I mean, they are hard to beat, aren't they? I also love there's a good Italian one, Mario Bava's Black Sunday as well, which has got one story in particular involving a kind of a scary old lady on a rocking chair, which is absolutely terrifying. So good.
I mean, imagine and this is what I'm very excited about for this audio series. Like, there are some anthologies where you have sort of 5 stories, and like 3 of them have like key moments in where you go, oh my god, that's an amazing thing. And I think that's just so cool. I think to journey around like that and to present different scares and different ideas and different images, often with different tones as well. You'll often have something that's quite a bit lighter than the others, and I like that too. I think that it's just, from a writing perspective, it's just a dream.
Yeah, it really is. So obviously we want to do this properly. I mean, this is the thing, right? It's not just me and you, Adam. I mean, people have heard enough of me and you talking over the years on various podcasts, right? But I think what excited us both is that we are hopefully going to have lots of incredible actors and a much more diverse range of voices involved, right?
One of the things that I'm most excited about in Deadvault is this opportunity to get to work with lots of really talented people. And I mean, a project like this is made by the people involved in it. And I think, obviously we're going to be fundraising and we're asking people to support us. And what I'm most excited about in that sense is that all of the funding, more or less, is going to people, to artists. Times are a bit tricky at the moment, and to make something like this is a feat. And I'm excited to see the appetite that exists for a project like this. But I'm just thrilled that actually, if we hit our target, which I really, really hope we will, and with everyone's support we will, that money's going to go towards paying for our actors and the sound design and the direction and so on. So it's a full project. It's not just you and me for a change.
No, exactly.
We're actually going to be working with lots of other people, and that's just a thrill. Having different voices in the episodes. Some incredible talent that we have in mind to speak to, and some people, we don't want to say too much, but some people who are kind of involved already. I think it's going to be thrilling. When you get the right voice actor for a project like this, it makes it. If there's, as with a podcast, right, the intimacy of that. The closeness, someone's right there in your ears. And I think when it's a scary drama, it's just incredible if you get the right person, and we've got some brilliant people in mind.
Absolutely. And we should talk a little bit about some of the rewards that we're going to offer to people for supporting this too. And there is another kind of key figure who's like the invisible other genius in this is Mike Lee Graham, right? The artist who, I'm sure people know, he does so much of the artwork for everything that I've ever done, involved in the podcast and the card game and everything else. And he has put together some beautiful stuff, hasn't he? Unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. When the first designs came over, we were both just giddy, weren't we? So, I think people are going to be so excited, and the idea of having this artwork on your wall. I don't know about you. I've got my eye on them because I just think they're amazing.
Totally. I'm going to have it on my wall. I cannot wait. And I think, there's this really fun thing, and I think we as horror fans all have this. you kind of want something physical as part of the you know, the process of kind of loving horror and being involved in it and supporting it. It's really fun to have physical stuff, I think. And I think that's the one thing about doing what we do, which is these days so entirely digital. I think the fun of having something like this is offering people physical rewards, right? And so, you know, a bit of analog kind of throwbacks with tape box cassette tapes and that kind of stuff,
Absolutely.
you know, which I mean, it excites me an unnecessary amount, I think, you know, but I love that kind of stuff.
I agree. I saw something on Instagram the other day, and it was someone's shelf with all their Blu-rays on it, and they described themselves as a maximalist. And I was like, I love that. I really love that, because, you know, I'm not the biggest physical media collector in the whole world. Like, I keep it under control. But I love physical media so much, and I miss cassette tapes so much. I miss my CDs. But the you know, harking back to school days when I had like a row of my favorite albums on cassette, and the ones that you taped off the, you know, songs you taped off the radio and stuff. God. So we're kind of nodding to that with that particular perk, and it's going to be beautifully designed and limited. There's only going to be a few of these for people to get their hands on, and it'll just be, you know, a little symbol of people's support for the project, but also a lovely little keepsake to have on your shelf alongside your Final Cut VHS
this is
box.
This is the thing I've decided I want to do, is start a collection of physical media linked to these brilliant crowdfunded projects.
Exactly.
Yeah. Without giving too much away, let's talk about the sort of mix of subgenres, I suppose. So what have we got included in this like collection of short stories?
We have, we're going all over the place.
Yes.
So one of the stories, the first story, harks back to the old public information films of the 1970s.
Which we've talked about a lot together. They scare us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So think, you know, Spirit of Dark and Lonely Water. Think those horrible fireworks adverts, which basically said, and I quite understand why, don't go and pick up a firework once you've lit it. It will blow your fingers off. I understand that's good advice, but it frightened the hell out of me as a kid. Even things like, and I know this isn't the same thing, but like 999 with Michael Burke from the 90s. That kind of thing that really kind of freaked us out. So the first story is going to deal with something in that area. One of them is going to effectively be like an Instagram or YouTube style story. So it is audio only found, which seems to relate to somebody's kind of vlog.
Incredible.
Which obviously turns pretty sour.
Because we're both old men and social media scares us.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. There's no horror in that one. It's just like, how did he do it?
Documentary.
How are they managing it? Yeah. How is he doing this? And what, you put that on the internet? One of them's going to be a body horror thing, which is also going to be a Christmas story.
That's interesting as well, right? A body horror as audio play is a really intriguing concept.
I'm just going to say the word squelch.
Yes, excellent.
One of them is going to be set in, I don't want to give it away, in a very, very remote location.
That's right. Yep.
And I do not want to give any details away, but it's going to be about isolation and claustrophobia. And that one in particular, I can't wait to get the final draft down. That's going to be really, really interesting and exciting. And we have a good old Victorian ghost story in there, because I have to include a ghost story. So we're kind of jumping about all over the place, and all of this, of course, is going to be within the found footage subgenre. So there's quite a lot of crossover. So each individual story isn't necessarily going to remain in its lane. We're going to have some kind of like bleeding into other areas.
Absolutely.
So I'm very excited.
I think that's the really fun part, isn't it, that excited us both, that there's got to be a reason in the story why this particular thing is being recorded, right? That's kind of the conceit. So,
Exactly. That, going back to your question about the idea of what makes a good found footage movie, I think that is a part of it, which is, we have to have a reason why the camera remains rolling. We have to have a reason why people are committing this stuff, in our case, to audio. And that's something that I'm finding very exciting to explore when I'm thinking about the ideas for Deadvault. And I think that, as you mentioned earlier, particularly in today's day and age, we are constantly committing things to audio and video without even thinking about it. But I would also say that's not even a new thing. I think for as long as this technology has existed, people have been doing this. People have been experimenting with audio and kind of using it to document their own lives.
Absolutely.
You know.
Well, ghost stories are kind of intrinsically linked to technology, I feel like, ever since, you know, the idea of photography became a thing, right? And then like wax cylinder recordings, whatever it might be, that idea of a ghost in the machine in some way, right, is fascinating.
Very much Nigel Neal territory. And as I say, I mean, Ghostwatch is a huge touchstone for this. That Stone Tape audio drama on BBC Radio 4 from a few years ago, another big touchstone. And both of them are really interested in the idea of technology. Both of them are really interested in using technology as part of the haunting. And I think it's, the possibilities are endless, and I can't wait to start exploring them.
We're this far in, Adam, and you haven't mentioned M.R. James yet. Is there any M.R. James influence in any of what you're doing?
I think you might have blinked and missed it. I mentioned it very briefly in the context of E.F. Benson.
Oh, yeah, that's right. But few. Okay, all right, good. Just checking.
Don't worry. You know, my sponsorship with the M.R. James estate. No, there isn't one. There'll be everything I write, I think, has a Jamesian flavour anyway. I was going to say I wish I could escape it, but I don't wish that at all. I'm delighted about it. I think that he was a master in terms of understatement. And also, I feel that with audio, there is this thing that M.R. James does where there's a gap between what he tells you and what you're forced to imagine as a result of that. And I think that is exactly what audio drama does. You are given so much, and you can't physically see the thing that you're having described to you, and so you have to use your imagination. We sort of mostly, I think, people do it automatically. And I think that's very exciting.
I think there's so much to appreciate about audio drama, and I think it's the sort of thing. I mean, I love listening to stuff, but I think it's broadly so appealing because there's something so accessible about it too, isn't there? You know,
I think so. I mean, in my theatre work, I'm really interested in accessibility. A lot of my stage work, I've worked with deaf actors and performers, and we've had interpreters as well in shows when we haven't worked with deaf actors. And I've worked with accessibility consultants to talk about whether our shows are accessible for blind and visually impaired audiences too. One of the key things about our shows is that we like to tell stories, we like to give the details of the stories, and we like to paint pictures with words. And I think another exciting thing about Deadvault is that it's going to be accessible to blind and visually impaired audiences because it is all storytelling, it's all world building and kind of creation of these kind of monstrous images and so on through audio only. So I'm really excited about that.
Well, this is all super exciting. So Adam, people have got like sort of basically the next 30 days or the next few weeks to hopefully support this and make it happen, right? I cannot wait. I think it's such an exciting project. We're going to be working with a team of incredible people. More or less all of the funding is going towards artists, like people, and that's so exciting. So I'm thrilled to be doing this, and I really hope people are going to get behind it and support us. Yes, please head to evolutionofhorror.com/Deadvault to help us make it happen.
Test, check. Test, check. Oh, sounds good here. Are we ready? Test, check. Oh, sounds good here. Are we ready?
This is the strangest thing I'll ever release. I need you to stay with me.
What's Deadvault? Nothing you're saying makes any sense.
I need you to be patient.
I don't know, there's hundreds of sound files, but some of them are just noise. But some of them sound like real people.
Hi guys, it's Matt again. Welcome back to the channel.
Please. Didn't see anything. Can you please just leave me alone?
I haven't done anything to you.
And don't forget to like and subscribe.
It was one of those old public information films. You don't remember that advert? No one ever does. I remember. It haunts me.
You're not going to believe what you hear, and that's okay.
99, 98, 97.
You're not gonna let me go, are you?
She's gone. She's literally vanished. I think it has something to do with these files.
All I can tell you.
It was dark. I could see the lady, and every time I tried to make a sound, she put her finger to her lips and she said,
Is everything you're about to hear
What is Deadvault? Deadvault. Deadvault.
is real?
Oh, it's gone. It's gone. It's gone. It was just so fast. It was so fast. Oh God!
Deadvault, an evolution of horror audio series. Written and directed by Adam Z. Robinson. Produced and edited by Mike Munzer.